Okay, we're here on the newest version of the All Things Richmond podcast. We are located in historic Shockoe Bottom. I'm lucky enough to be sitting next to Bryan Bostic, and we are in the Startup Virginia, which is part of the 1717 Innovation Center. And we're going to get to all of that and what all that means here in a second. So first of all, Bryan, thank you for being with us today.
Duke, my pleasure. Thanks for coming down.
Absolutely.
Hope you like the new space.
Just got the tour, and if you haven't been to 1717 Startup Virginia, you need to come check it out. It's pretty awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing it rolling with tons of people and activity. I think it's going to be an awesome thing. So, Bryan, let's start to give the viewers, I know your background. I would love to give the viewers a little bit of history of your background, your kind of entrepreneurial journey that got you to this point.
Well, it is a journey. It's not always pretty, but that's what happens in the life of an entrepreneur. I've had the pleasure of being involved with 21 companies, two of which I took and sold to public companies, large-scale Fortune 500 type companies, and exciting times through that journey, working with really great people, because it is all about the people. I don't believe as an entrepreneur you do anything completely on your own. I think that has an ego that doesn't fit for me. You know, you're all a team, and you work together to build something great that changes other people's lives, and that's the best outcome from an entrepreneur's perspective.
Sure. If you don't mind mentioning for the folks, the two companies that you sold, what they were,
Sure.
Roughly how old you were when you started each one, that kind
Yeah,
of thing.
so when I was 23, I started a company called 2B Technology. And I did it because I used to work for 1 year with a computer company called EDS, Ross Perot's group, but I couldn't make a difference. I just felt like if I stayed for 20 years, I might make a difference, but my personality was such that said, you got to go do something on your own and cut your own teeth and pave your own road. So I started this company with the intent of finding a software that I could market on my own. It took 7 years to find this opportunity, and I created a reservation, scheduling, and then ultimately ticketing services company that became an industry standard in the visitor attraction market, museums, zoos, aquariums, historic attractions, those kinds of things, throughout North America and in Europe. And I sold that to Ticketmaster in 2000.
2000, okay.
And then I bought a company called Smartbox, which was a startup here,
Right.
in 2004, and franchised that across the country and sold that to Serva 10 years later in 2014.
2014, okay. What have you been doing since then other than playing tennis?
Well, I've been doing a lot of this.
Yeah.
I really love mentoring startup companies. I've been an entrepreneur in residence at James Madison University for 2 years, and I love giving back to the entrepreneurial community. It's a lot of fun to work with young, creative minds, and we have a ton of them in Richmond, especially with VCU and their amazing arts program. And that's one of the beauties of entrepreneurship. It's no longer tied to just business. It's all cross-discipline now. There's so many things that can happen. So I've enjoyed giving back, and this particular project was about two gaps that were in the ecosystem for entrepreneurship in Richmond, and that's access to seed capital and a front door. There was no central place where startups had as a starting point or as a focal point where everything could kind of move through that central channel and have a communication line, have a collision zone, collaboration zone where people could work together, like-minded people, to make progress.
So that's great. So leading right into Startup Virginia, what it is, whose idea it was, the brainchild, the partners in the group, and just tell the folks what it is.
Yeah, so some really great partners. Brad Cummings and Will Loving and myself are the founders of Startup Virginia. This was something that we engaged in 2.5 years ago. We actually walked through this building in April of 16 for the first time after looking for a physical location. But we had talked about how to put together an incubator. Other communities around the country had been successful at it. We didn't have it in Richmond. And in order for us to maximize the opportunity around startups, you really had to have a front door. So we set out to create it.
Gotcha. So for the folks that don't know, if I'm a startup founder, what can I come here and hope to receive?
Yeah, so Startup Virginia is a high-growth incubator, so scalable businesses that have an opportunity to grow beyond our local footprint, if you will. We provide programming, we provide mentoring, and we provide access to capital. So we like to refer to it simply as guidance. We want to give you the tools necessary to be successful better, quicker, faster than you can on your own.
Gotcha. So how will Lighthouse Labs be connected to this in some fashion?
They're a great group and have really helped elevate the image of Richmond in the entrepreneurial world nationally. They're top 25 global Accelerator network entity. So that's given us some great visibility. And they've, in essence, helped 6 companies a year for the last 5 years. They're going to put that on steroids and have additional cohorts. We certainly partner with them and provide mentoring services with them. And we give their graduates a home. So when they graduate from Lighthouse Labs, we provide them with space for free.
Right.
So we're here to help their entities grow. They're a high-growth accelerator. We're a high-growth incubator. Great communities have both, and they work together. So certainly we're working on that as well.
So for the folks listening, can you explain the difference between an accelerator and an incubator?
Yeah, an accelerator program is a fixed amount of time, typically 10 to 12 weeks, very structured.
Right.
An incubator is not structured. It's there, they kind of move along at a path that's best for them. Our job is to help them stay focused, set some goals with them, and help them, shepherd them through the process.
Right.
To the point at which they can grow enough to graduate out.
Gotcha.
But we do not put a fixed time period on that.
Okay. So you mentioned you need founders, who comes with an idea, they need a space to operate, they need this mentoring, but also sometimes they need money. In your opinion, describe a little bit of the state of the VC venture capital community here in Richmond compared to how it's been and where it's headed, and just like what's it like now?
Yeah, I think we're absolutely headed in the right direction. There's been a lot of progress that's been made and a lot of dollars deployed right through that window, as a matter of fact. Next door is NRV, New Richmond Ventures. They've deployed over $135 million over the last 5 years. And thank you, NRV. They've really helped a lot of companies grow, and it takes capital. You can't win in this business if you don't have the founders. You can't win if you don't have the mentors, and you can't win if you don't have capital. It's a 3-legged stool. You have to have all 3 to be successful. So NRV has set the tone. Harbert Ventures, Boxwood Capital, Blue Heron Capital. The numbers of entities that are in the VC world is growing in our community, and that's a great, great sign, as is the number of angel investors. We now have 270 angel investors in the Central Virginia Angel Network. Our job is to increase those numbers. The more playing the game from the investor side, the better it's going to be. We want as diverse a group to participate as we can get, because the companies that are coming out as startups are incredibly diverse. It's not just insurance, or it's not just medical. We've got ed tech. We have all kinds of other entities. Art-related technologies that are coming together, and we've got to find people to help support them and fund them and mentor them. So having that diversity of interests and diversity of startups is really important.
Gotcha. So right before this, we just did a tour of the building. So for the folks that can't see the whole building, try to give them a little snapshot. So you've got Startup Virginia has the first 3 floors. Capital One has floors 4 and 5, and then there's a shared rooftop bar, rooftop kind of event space type deal. Why did you guys pick Shockoe Bottom? Why did you pick this building? Give us a little, look into the decision of this building and why, and how that evolved with Capital One as well.
Well, that's about 10 questions in one. So, Duke, I appreciate that. Yeah, throw it out there. Well, again, it really started first with we've got to find a front door. And so where can you find vibrancy and creativity and history, or things that are going to excite people to come to that place on a daily basis? And where in the city are you seeing positive trends for housing that are fun to live, that have access to outdoor activities? And Shockoe resonated. Certainly other places are viable candidates, but I've been a huge fan of Shockoe Bottom for a long, long time.
Yeah, why don't you give because you just told me, I would love for them to hear your history in Shockoe Bottom, from when you lived here, the businesses you ran here, et cetera.
Well, how about we come back to that?
Okay, all right.
We'll go. So Shockoe came about. We had an opportunity with this building. This was out of blue. The building was not for sale. John Crank owned the building with his wife. Great couple. They'd been in it for a long time and had renovated the first floor.
What was it? I don't even know what it was.
They did museum exhibition design.
Okay.
And been very successful at that. And they renovated the first floor, but had no need really to continue to renovate the rest of the building. So it was nice and it was clean and it was beautiful. And Phil Conine said, "Hey, I've got some friends. Do you guys want to look at a building that could be kind of neat for an incubator and to fulfill this opportunity?" And we're like, absolutely. So a group of us, Brad and Will and I and Jay Sandy from Capital One and Scott Ukrop and Paul Nolde and a few others came into the building. We had a lot of fun going through this building and thinking of the opportunity. And literally, we went 2 blocks away to have a couple of beers and talk about it. And, before we finished, it was basically a done deal. We're going to get a hold of this building and make something happen.
Cool.
So, for me, Shockoe is a really great place. I've had other ventures in Shockoe. I lived in Shockoe Slip in the 80s. I was involved with a few other folks in some restaurants and entertainment venues. Shockoe Slip Cafe, probably the best happy hour that's been in Richmond in 30 years. Cavaliero's Restaurant, which is an Italian restaurant that was in the basement, and the Richmond Comedy Club. So we had a lot of fun with those projects. I didn't run them. My partners ran them. But I certainly had a lot of fun there. And I got to see a Shockoe. And for me, having been in D.C. for a year, to me, this was a mini Georgetown just waiting to happen. And it needed some TLC, it needed some vision, and that prompted some other projects for me personally with others to do a development in downtown around mixed use that had a ballpark as an anchor. We had a lot of people for it. We had some that weren't for it. And,
it's a contentious issue.
Yeah, a lot of politics involved with that. So at the end of the day, you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. We did our homework. We brought in phenomenal talent to review our community, and they came back and said this is an unbelievable place for it. So we just were trying to revitalize an area that needed it, and that holds true. Now things have changed a lot since then. You've got, I think, 5,000 people living down here now. All the tobacco warehouses have been renovated to lofts. I should say all but one. This one wasn't, so that was good.
Sure.
And I think there's 800 more apartments that are under construction. And the value of that is people. You've got to have density to really be able to create that vibrant environment. And vibrancy needs to be 24/7 at the end of the day. And that's starting to happen here. And we've got, you mentioned the floors of this building. And this building now has a rooftop reception and collaboration zone and a deck outside. And you don't feel like you're in Richmond when you're out there. You feel like you're in New York or Chicago or San Francisco, and that is what these millennials want. They want to be in an environment, a urban environment. They want to have a livable space nearby that's affordable. They want to have access to the Capitol Bike Trail and the river for kayaking. This is a really fabulous place for those kinds of things. So that's how we ended up here.
Sure. No, that's awesome. For me, my history of Shockoe Bottom is less time than yours, but it's an interesting. When I was in college, this was like the social epicenter. Tuesday night, Tiki Bob's. Wednesday night, Have a Nice Day Cafe, Tobacco Company, Rich Brow. Those were the places to go. And then most of those places are gone now. And you're seeing some new stuff come to Shockoe. Sure. You got the Main Street Station, which is an amazing project. You've got Farmers Market happening. You've got NRVs already here. You guys are now here. You've got some really cool startups like Tenant Turner and Go Happy and some other folks. So what, in your opinion, what does Shockoe Bottom still need? What is the future of Shockoe Bottom as a community, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think the future is very, very bright. And I'll add CarMax into the mix with their innovation center. Yep. There's a lot of, we're trying to drive talent bring talent into Richmond and to keep the talent that we have.
Sure.
So that's a mission that I think we're all on, not just those of us that are in Shockoe Bottom. We've tried for a long time to get the younger crowd to come back to Richmond, say after college or whatever it had been, and that's happening now. And we've got to keep them here. We got to keep them here with great jobs and great opportunity, and a vibrant lifestyle. And let's face it, some laws changed that created some enormous opportunities around beer. The craft beer industry is fantastic. I think we just got ranked the #1 beer town in America. That's not a bad flag to put down for millennials. They absolutely love that. We have fantastic food. We've got an outdoor scene that is very, very active and diverse between road and cycling and river. It's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
So I'm bullish on Shockoe Bottom. I'm obviously bullish on Scott's Addition. Frankly, I'm bullish on Richmond.
Sure.
I think we are really on the move. I think our political base is from a leadership standpoint is changing in an extremely positive way, and I think we're getting. I thank the world of LeVar Stoney. I think he's really got a tremendous opportunity in front of him to create real change and real unity, which I think is important. He's young and he brings a different mindset to the table, and we need that because we've got to be nimble. We've got to be very mobile in our thinking and our creativity and in our deployment. Sadly, the Main Street Station took a long time, and the farmers market took 7 years from approval to actually break ground.
Sure.
That's the kind of thing, frankly, that can't happen.
Right.
We've got to do better at being able to take something that's rather obvious and act upon it. We languish about things for way too long and talk about it and bounce around and how. So I think we're getting better at it.
Sure. Yeah, I agree. I'm excited about the future of Richmond and the future of Shockoe Bottom more specifically. Any other thing you want to mention, talk about, questions, comments, concerns about Start Virginia, Shockoe, anything that I didn't ask?
Yeah, well, I think what we're experiencing is a shift, a positive cultural shift, where people do come together, people live, work, and play together, and I think that's good for our community as a whole. And I think Shockoe Bottom is getting more dense, and that's in a positive way. I think there'll be additional properties that will change hands, that will further advance the groundswell of positive change. I don't want to take anything away from the great times you or I have had down here over the years, but they came at different times. And so certainly, we've had an occasional issue here and there late night, and I think that the farmers market redo will have a big impact on that, positive impact. This is a safe place. I walk the streets all the time down here. I don't have any problem with it at all. We just need to continue to invest in the community around us. We're bringing obviously more people. We'll have 200 plus people in this building that love where they work and certainly love to play as well. And many of them live in the neighborhood. Many of them ride their bikes here. So this is a really great time in Richmond. So we're excited about it.
Well, we are excited too, man. I think it's awesome what you and Brad and Will and the team are doing here. I'm really excited what it's going to do for this community in Richmond, and so thank you for doing that, and I appreciate you spending some time with us today.
Thank you. Appreciate it, dude.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Have a good one.